Bible says, whatever we do it as unto the Lord. Do it as unto the Lord. That's our endeavor. Not to hear before people as being spiritual or deep, but hear before God with sincere and honest heart back to Him, thanking Him for who He is and every day. That's why the scripture says, render to Him our hearts and not our garments. And then take everything with thanks. I want to read tonight from a very familiar passage of scripture. I want to go down through it. I don't know if I'll read it in its entirety. But the 91st chapter of the book of Psalms is really broken down into 5 diverse categories. One category is talking about things in which to trust. Then the second category is confidence to have in God. As you get to those particular verses, we'll give you these segments or the headings for what this means. First off, this is a psalm that was written by Moses. And the psalm was written by Moses at the beginning of the 40 years of them being in the wilderness. And they were wondering which way to go. So Moses wrote the Psalms to comfort Israel, comfort the church while they were in the wilderness, that they might go through this curse that was upon them, and to recognize God being with them in the midst of what they were going through. So as we listen from this writing of Moses, we'll hear him quoting even scriptures that Jesus quoted during his time of temptation with Satan in the wilderness. And so this Psalms is relating back to God's people in the time of what they were going through. It relates back to Jesus in the time that Satan came and tempted him after he had been fasting 40 days, 40 nights. Let's begin with the first verse, please.
He who dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty.
Now, the very first verse is endeavoring to open our eyes to have the confidence that there is a place in God that we can hide under the shadow of the Almighty, just the shadow, the reflection of God. The reflection of God is so great that He said, even in the shadow there is a place, a secret place. Verse 2,
I will say to the Lord, He is my refuge
He
and
said,
my
in
fortress.
this place I say to the Lord is where I find my refuge, I find my fortress, and only in him will I trust. Only in him. This is a testimony that Moses is giving to Israel while they're under this bondage physically and spiritually. He's speaking not only to them physically, the physical body, but he's speaking to them in their minds, their thoughts, and thinking. He's speaking, he's bringing deliverance not only to the physical things that they're dealing with, but how those physical things are being greatly affected by their emotions and their thinking. And we find that true, that many circumstances, situations we deal in, it does not deal on our physical as much as it does on our mentality, on our thinking. And from that, it now affects how we respond in a given situation. And Moses, knowing this, he is endeavoring to speak to Israel, even though they're in this physical uh, bondage of Pharaoh. He's trying to basically relieve their minds that you can trust God and should trust God when you are going through things, because what you're going through does not have as much weight on your physical being as it does your spiritual man. The reason why that is because Satan is endeavoring for us to lose confidence and lose faith in God by what we are experiencing within the spirit of man. You understand that? All right, read on. Verse 3.
Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler,
Now he gives him a difference. He said, yes, you're in the hands of the power. But he said, he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler. The snare of the fowler. In other words, the snare is doesn't have no purpose unless one gets caught in a snare. I'm going to go back and tell you a little bit about when hunters go out and they set traps. They don't set traps and leave them exposed. They set a trap, cover it with the foliage around where that trap is. They'll even put meat on that trap where that prey will smell it. And they're so involved in how it smells, it's dealing in their nature, that they're not even seeing the trap that food is on. But he says, surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the trap. Fowler. Now, what's this? This is powerful. God not only delivers us from the fowler, but he delivers us from the way the fowler was thinking to entrap you. He delivers you from the mentality of your enemy that intends to bring you to a point of destruction. So he says, surely he will deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and what?
and from the noise of the pestilence.
Now watch this. Give it to you spiritually. When you, and I experience this myself, when you're going through something, there always seems to be a, how can I say, a, something that is noisy in the situation to distract you from what God is saying concerning you. He can distract you from the situation within the situation, where now it's blocking you hearing from God, because now you're distracted by A, B, C of the entire situation. And God is saying it's not how it's broken down. He's asking you the question, do you believe I can deliver you no matter how it comes against you? But the diversity in our tribe is noisome to us. It's a distraction to us. It's a constant bringing back to our minds. We say, look at this, look at that, look at that. That's happened. So that's noise. That's noise in your mind where you're not really concentrating on what God said and you miss everything God said and everything that you're hearing against what God said. But Moses tells them, he said, he shall uh, cover thee, excuse me, and even deliver you from the noisome pestilence. Huh? Now, watch this. Is it not annoying to you when you can hear a fly buzzing but you can't find it? Huh? You look and you can't find it? That's a distraction, right? He said, in our walk with God, Satan will bring things of noise to pull our attention to that, to pull our attention away from God. And it's noisome. It's uh, burdensome. It's agitating, right? And so that's why I want to bring this even in the simplistic form that I'm speaking, that how that in our own natural life, how that things that are just something that is a pest to us. Huh? Fly can't destroy you. Huh? Fly don't have no power to confine you, but it's a pest. It's an attraction getter. And so when Satan sees certain situations and circumstances in our life is to attract us by the noise that these circumstances are making. Especially when you hear the circumstance, now what if? Now what if? That is agitating, right? Wow. Read verse 4.
He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler.
Now, I want to bring you back to you. And I always try to bring the word back to its simplest form for us to understand. Take the feathers of the wings of a chicken that covers its chicks. Does the wings of the chicken have the same ability of protection as in your house? No. The wings of the chicken cannot withstand what your house or roof can withstand if a storm were to come. Right? So here's what he's saying here. He said, I take something that has not the same value, less value, and he said, I'm showing you that I'm protected. You can be protected in something that in itself in life doesn't feel like it can protect you. Because just naturally thinking, and he says, I'm going to cover you with the feathers, with the feathers. Huh? Look, just take a look at the feathers of a chicken. You pluck the feathers off. Huh? But he said, I'm going to cover you with the feathers. In other words, he said, I can take what looks to you that cannot protect you. I can take that and protect you. It doesn't look like it can protect you. He said, but when I demand protection, he said, I can even take the feathers of the fowl and protect you. Under his wings thou shalt trust. Under his wings thou shalt trust. Trusting God even when it looks like what you're looking at, you should not trust God. That's what he's saying. Y'all getting that revelation? He said, if you cover me with the feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be as thy shield and thy buckler. In other words, Moses was teaching Israel, trust God when it looks like you can't trust him. Trust God in what it looks like you can't trust God in. Huh? The real theme of that text is trusting God, no matter what God uses to protect you. Trust God. No matter what you may feel like that God is using you to trust Him, just trust Him. He said, because I'm God. Huh? And that verse 3 and 4 shows the fivefold confidence. The fivefold confidence. The confidence of His grace. The confidence of His unmerited favor is what He's saying. Trust me in the favor that you don't deserve. Trust me in the favor I give you when it doesn't look like the favor is going to sustain you. Trust me. I'm God. Verses 5 is going to talk to us about the eightfold security that we can have in God. Because all of us face things in life, and sometimes we feel like, I'm not secure. I don't feel covered. I don't feel protected. I feel I'm out there. I feel like I'm vulnerable. Every one of those statements I said, I can begin with the word I feel. Huh? So we go most off of I feel than our faith. Huh? And when we go most off of I feel, it leaves us or puts us in a vulnerable thinking position. It leaves us in a possible vulnerable state of what can happen to the physical. Huh? He said, don't fear man who can destroy just the body. But he said, fear the one who can destroy your body and your soul. Your body and your soul. Man cannot destroy your spirit because the spirit belongs to God. For it is the Spirit of God that breathed into us, into our nostrils, that man became a living soul. So man can come and destroy your feelings that you have about something. He can destroy that. He can cause you to lose confidence in what you thought you had confidence in. He said, but God said, don't say that. You're the one who can destroy your body and yourself. Hmm? Think about Job. Job could not destroy the soul. Satan could not destroy the soul of Job. He dealt in his body terrifically. His body may have felt like it was being destroyed, huh? But his spirit man held its integrity with God. So the thing we have to learn here, Moses is teaching us, he said, in situations, don't focus on what you think the body is going to happen to it. Focus in on the soul and the spirit. Hmm? Because the spirit and the soul is greater than the physical. Hmm? Because when one dies in the physical, the soul and spirit needs it. It can't hold it. Y'all know what time it is? That your body while you're alive, you can hold the soul and the spirit of it. But when your body dies, it can't hold it. Huh? So God looks at the body as only a temple of the Holy Spirit. Huh? The temple of the Holy Spirit. Read 5.
Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night,
He's declaring, don't be afraid. Have security. Don't be afraid for the terror of the night.
nor of the arrow that flieth by day.
Now, let's look at the scripture. When do you face your most terror? In the darkness of your moments. Because we were taught as babies, you can't see, children, you can't see what's in the dark. You don't know what's lurking in the dark. So we put an inferiority complex in our children and gave them a nightlight. Huh? Now they trust in the light of the day, but you got to give them a light in the night to trust the night. When God says darkness is not dark to me. Huh? And look what the scripture says. Don't be afraid of the terror by the night. Because what you're terrified in the night, with God is nothing to be terrified at. Read.
Lord, to the earth and fire by day.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, to the pestilence that walketh in darkness.
Creepy crawlers in the night, cracking walls and windows in the night. And when we hear something in the dark, we imagine, oh, it might be that, or it might be this. And time we get to magnify what we think it might be in the dark, now we're afraid, we're fearful. And most of the stuff we fear in the dark can't even harm you no way. Huh? Think about it. But look how the human body is so correlated with that. Hmm? And he says in his word, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror of the night, nor for the arrow that flieth in the day, nor the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Do y'all hear that? The destruction that comes to you in your life with God is just a waste. And when something is a waste, it means you do not or cannot take advantage of it or use it for anything because it's a waste. Huh? Think about this, what he's saying. And what is so phenomenal to me, here this man Moses writing this scripture 1,000 years ago speaks to the now of us, speaks to our human anatomy in this day. He's actually speaking out of how people thought and lived in those days. Thousands of years later, they're still living and thinking in the same way. God is saying through Moses through verses 5, 6, and 7, and 8, he said, I am your eightfold security. Read verse 7, please.
Thousands shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee.
Now let me give you a hint. He says, listen to this. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, which means they are in proximity of what you see. But what you see is not in proximity to harm you. I think they want to get here. He said, we are hearing things that only in the proximity of what we can see, but it's not in the proximity to destroy us from what we see. But just that, look at this. 1,000 shall fall at thy side. That means it's in proximity, he said. And 10,000 at thy right hand. But, is that nevertheless? Listen. Nevertheless, it shall not come nigh thee. Watch this. It was close enough for you to see it. But he said it won't come nigh you in your mentality to believe what it looks like. That's it. Verse 8.
Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold, and see the reward of the wicked.
Hmm. Hmm. Verses 9 through 13 can be subtitled The Sixfold Dwelling Place. And within that place is blessings of God. Watch this. Verse 9.
Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation.
Read on.
Then There shall no evil befall, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling.
Now I hear two things here that is so profound in the verse. When it says, thou shalt no evil befall you. When something befalls you, it takes a part of you. You're involved because it's befalling you. You're part of that. Hmm? He said, but things we're seeing, we fear that they're going to fall us or consume us by what we see, right? But he says in the verse, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling place. Moses was teaching Israel, even though you're still wandering in the wilderness. He said, the wilderness, you're in the wilderness, but the wilderness will not conquer you. The wilderness will not overcome you. And he said, and there is no plague within the wilderness that can come near your dwelling place. Huh? Let's go back and look at what we dealt with COVID. COVID had befallen the nation, cities, communities, hospitals, places after places after places befalled people. But the plague, he said, with all of it around you, he said, it shall not come near in the place where you dwell, because you dwell in the secret place. So think about it. None of us in faithful that I know of ever got COVID. But it had befallen a nation. It had befallen multitudes of people. Huh? So many people died, they was making makeshift places to put the bodies. All that was around us, even in the city of Paris. The plague was there, but it did not befall us, and it did not come near your dwelling place. Even though we were walking in the midst of it, it still could not come near where we dwelled in the secret place. The evidence of you did not get it. Huh? And they said there's going to come another plague that's worse than COVID. Well, the same God that protected you in the COVID is the same God that's going to protect you from the worst plague that's coming. Because there is no plague that's greater than God. There is no plague that's under the power, over the power of God. Huh? So we don't have to be, oh God, what that's going to be like? It's going to do this. Well, it ain't going to do to them who are in the secret place of the Most High God. Huh? The secret place of the Most High God. Do you know? Let me simplify this. Do you know what put you in the secret place of the Most High God? The secret place of the Most High God is in His faith, or in our faith in Him. Huh? That is the secret place of the Most High God. For out of God works the entirety of God out of faith. Huh? So how do I get in the secret place? Do I have to do jumping jacks? Do I have to do jump rope? Or what do I have to do? He said, have faith in me. What kept COVID from us? Faith in God. What kept us protected from COVID? The faith we had in God. That was the secret place of God. Huh? Now see how that word just simplified it? So we won't leave it. Oh, we pray. God bring me secret. But what is your secret place? Oh, God, I need it. No, it's just faith. That's all it is. It's faith in God, trusting God, that God can do above and beyond anything that comes our way that is not pleasing with Him. Wow, that's deep. Go to mm, verse 9 and read that, please.
Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation.
Now listen how Moses explains to them about God. Then he tells them how I explain to you how God is. That's where God inhabits. He said, I make my refuge in the Most High. I put my faith and belief in the Most High. I put my faith in God as being my refuge and thy habitation. That COVID could not touch you in the faith of God, because the faith of God was inhabiting you. Huh? Like you said. So what about the next place? What does it have on it that the first one had that couldn't defeat God? What's it got? Huh? Because the plagues only come out of what God's already created. And God is a recreator. Plagues can come out of what's already has been created, but God said, I can recreate. To where now that plague is not in the same realm of my creation. Huh? Think about this. Was Satan in the realm of God's creation? Huh? But did Satan have power in the realm of God's creation? He was in the realm of God's creation, but he was not in the realm of God's recreation. Huh? That's why he said, I do a new thing. I do things that the old things cannot comprehend. I do things that's new that the old things cannot figure out. Huh? He said, I do new things to keep you from going back to your old way of thinking. The old things. Huh? Wow. Look in 10. Come on. Did y'all realize that in COVID, God had released COVID angels to you? He had released to you angels that dealt with the plague of COVID. And he got angels that's going to be released to you in this new thing that's coming. We don't know what it is, but the angels that he got in charge of sending, they know exactly what it is. Huh? And those angels come to counteract what this new plague is trying to do or going to do. We can have that confidence in God in faith. We can have that confidence in God in faith. Wow. 12. They shall bear you up. Well, bearing one up has to do with one fall. Does it? It has to do with one falling before you hit the part that's going to destroy you. He bears you up to where you never make contact with the thing that would destroy you if you fall into it. Hmm? In other words, the grace and the mercy of God through our faith catches us in mid-air. Huh? Read.
Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder,
Mm-hmm.
the young lion.
Y'all know what the adder is, don't you? That's the nest of the snakes. Huh? Just a few months ago, I walked out my front door porch. I looked over in a spot, and there was all these little white eggs in a nest. They had grass growing around them, but they were in the sun. And I told Trina about it, and Trina is the destroyer of insects and bugs and mice and rats. I've seen her almost just catch them in her hand and tell her, I'm going to kill you. So if Trina can do that, how come God can do that for us? Huh? Trina takes vengeance on anything that's a pest to her. God takes vengeance on anything that's a pest to you. Hmm? Wow. And she went out there with a stick and kept picking eggs, and they were not hard-shelled eggs. They were in like a rubber coating. So that nest was called an adder. That's where snakes were going to grow up out of that nest. He said, but I will, watch this, I will tread upon the lion and the adder. God said, I'm going to tread upon anything that is being created to design to hinder or hurt you. For if that snake or snakes would have known that Trina was coming along and do that to their nest, they would have never laid their eggs there. So the enemy never knows what God's going to do in behalf of his people. Wow. I think about this, and I'm very observant. Most nights we come to church, there's rabbits running around. We got one little rabbit that runs between the bus and the church. I threw rocks at it. They turned around and looked at us like, you didn't hit me. And didn't even flinch, didn't move. We walked toward it. It was saying, you don't see me. Huh? We yelled at it. And he just said, I don't hear what you're saying. I picked up a handful of rocks and threw them. And one almost hit him. He still just stood there and looked out of his eyes to say, you missed me. I ain't going nowhere. Huh? We have to be like that with God. When the enemy is rocking us, when the enemy is attacking us, and when the enemy is trying to get us out of our place with God, we need to be stable. Be thou stable. Wow. Even when, God showed me, you were throwing rocks at that rabbit and said, not one of them hit him. And he said, when the enemy is shooting arrows at you, none of them are going to make the attack. He said, just before they would hit you, I'm going to redirect them. This is what Moses was trying to teach Israel while they were going through the wilderness. He tells them, you don't have to be afraid of anything that's wild in this wilderness. God's got everything in this wilderness under his control, and he can't do no more than what he allows it to do. See, we read Psalm 91, but we haven't really heard the in-depthness of what that's saying. Huh? Read.
The young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under
And those particular animals is greater in perspective than we are. He said, but the greatest of your enemies, I give you the power, the position to trample them under your feet. Now let me give revelation. The trampling of under your feet is not so much a physical action as it is a mental action. That if you in your mind can see your enemy trampled under your feet, huh? So really, what Moses was saying, children of Israel, is not so much a literal thing that you're trampling Egypt under your feet. It's a mental thing. Let me show you the scripture. What I'm saying is true. For the Israelites was running from Egypt. So they could not trample their feet over the enemy. But in the spirit realm, God took them to a place and let them through. They walked through on dry land. And God said, I'm going to make your enemies follow you to their own doom. And when the enemy tried to do what God's people done, they got caught up in the midst because their motive was wrong for even following or messing with God's people. Huh? Do you not know we got enemies that's praying against us? They're praying that we fail. And God's going to take that prayer and reverse it right back to them. Because he's saying the prayer they're praying is not coming from my Father. It's coming back from the devil. And I'm going to send that prayer right back to you and your devil. So we don't have to fret because of evildoers. We don't have to be envious of those who work iniquity. If God said, I got their number, I know their phone number, I know their text, I know their house where they live, I know what consumes them the most, their desires. He said they love money, and I'm going to take stuff and where their money's going to be gone. And they try to get rich off of this, and then he said, I'm going to take the very things that they may have of God and show them there's nothing more than an idol to them. Ooh. Wow. Read. I'm not done. Because he has set his love upon you. This is Moses telling Israel. God has set his love upon you. What?
Therefore will I deliver.
He said, God said, tell him I've set my love on him, so therefore I will deliver you. Because we read this morning in Romans 8:28, what can separate us? Or 38, what can separate us from the love of God? Huh? And he said, because he has set his love upon you, Israel, therefore I will deliver you because of my love for you. Not that because you're so perfect, not because you're so wonderful. He says, but that is the nevertheless of my love. That nothing can separate me from the love I have for you. Because you have set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him and do what? Verse 14. I will set him on high. Do you not realize that God repositions you in a circumstance that's trying to destroy you? He repositions you. Did he not do it with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? For the flames were to destroy them, but God repositioned them in the flame and put in a fourth man who took the heat for him and took it out of the flame. Whew. And you got the fourth man, which is the Son of God, When you get in a situation, if you trust the fourth man in your life, God will use that fourth man to counteract what that thing that's trying to work against you. He will counteract it through the first man. When they got thrown into that furnace, Jesus was already in there. You know why I know? Because when they threw him in, the hair was not singed, the clothes was not burned, they could not smell any smoke from the body. So Jesus showed up when they got there. Jesus had already went into the furnace to turn the furnace back down. He said, come on, I got the air conditioner on waiting for you. Woo! Wow, read.
He shall call upon me,
Uh-huh.
and I will answer.
And I will answer,
I will be with him in trouble.
I'm going to be with him in trouble. You need to say that to yourself. God's going to be with me in trouble. Hmm? So I don't have to curse my trouble. I ain't got to complain about my trouble because he said, I'm going to be with you in the trouble. And when God is in your trouble, trouble is not trouble to you. Hmm? Read.
I will deliver him and honor him.
Uh-huh.
Verse 16. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation.
And show him my deliverance. Now, I clearly more see in Psalm 91 as Moses is speaking this to Israel, who have just come through bondage, who had a curse upon them of their own doing. But even though the curse was of their own doing, God said, nevertheless, I forgive them. And what they have worked themselves into, I'm going to work them through what they worked themselves into. Huh? He said, they worked themselves in it, but I'm going to be in it with them and show them how to maneuver and get out of this thing. Huh? And he said, be reminded no place to come near the hiding place of God. Where y'all hear this tonight? The hiding place of God is our faith. Faith in God. Huh? Our faith in God. I'm facing this ordeal through the faith of God. Because really, I can only really trust God. I can't trust the minds of these attorneys, all these people, because they're looking from fleshly eyes. Huh? They're making their judgment calls out of fleshly eyes. Huh? But I gotta trust God. Huh? And God, you know what God said to me? He said, even though you're a lawyer, you got a good one, and she can only talk back to you for what she's seen come out of those particular situations. He said, she don't know that somebody's going in there with her that knows how to get out of the fire. She don't know that the one's going in the fire with her is not a friend of the fire. Hmm? What am I basing that on? I'm basing it on the fact that I did not do nothing wrong. Huh? And I'm looking for the integrity of God in my faith. Huh? Yeah, the enemy said, and I'm going to show you something real quick. I don't think anybody's planted in here tonight. But what they're taking you through is no comparison to what others are going through. Don't arrest it, bring it to the fingerprinted, whatever, and then holding to the time of the court, then release him. That's exactly what she says you're going to. So why am I fear? Why would I have to fear? What's going to happen tomorrow when I already got the answer? Released. And the enemy said, what did they like you in with some crazy folks in the cell while you're waiting? I said, I got prayer. I can pray. Hmm? I can pray, make my enemies be at peace with me, because if they're my enemies, they don't even know why they classify me as their enemy, because I ain't done nothing to them. Huh? He said, all you need to do is say, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. You know the biggest burden and bondage we're going through right now is how we're looking at our reputation in the eyes of other people. That's all it is. How is people viewing us? It don't matter how they're viewing us, because they ain't taking care of us. Huh? And just because they predict I'm guilty, they're not the judge. Huh? But the enemy can get you so caught up in, well, what is this thing thinking? And what are the pastors thinking about me in Paris? And what is the banking system thinking? What is this thinking? And I knew Reverend Alford, da, 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 da. I don't care what you think. Huh? Because God told me that your thoughts is not his. Now you tell me what you're going to think when you see me rise above this obscurity. Then you be bold enough to come to me then and tell me, I was praying for you, but you didn't tell me you were praying for me when I was in the ordeal. I prayed for you and helped you get out of it. Yeah, that's when people take credit when their own doubts and thoughts have been proven wrong. They say, I was with you all the time. No, you weren't. You're a liar. I ain't ever one preacher called me that I ministered to in his life. I'm the one I'm the one that God made me connected to him to even get saved and start preaching. When he had black marks against his life for his lifestyle. And I took him under my wings and treated him like he had done nothing wrong. And he said to his associate pastor, he said, God, I got up this morning. He said, God told me you called Bishop wrong. And he said, I don't even need to know the story. He said, I'm just praying for you. I said, man, I appreciate that. Hmm? Because even in this community, as God has shown the integrity of faith walking community and all of the preachers and food banks and all that stuff, we have people, not near one white chicken. Huh? They're chickens. They're chickens that distract you, irritate. Not one white chicken has said anything to say, I'm praying for you. Hmm? Now, it is a shame, but it's not a shame on me. Huh? Huh? Because if you ain't careful, folks will have you stretching when you ain't got nothing to stretch for. They're irritating me, want you to rub and scratch, and when they're the ones causing it. But he said, there is a bomb in Gilead. Hallelujah. Glory to God. God said, son, you got to encourage yourself. He said, you got to encourage yourself. And that's when they gave me that word. Nevertheless. I said, God, I need a word from you. I'm listening. He took me to the book of Psalms 106, and he took me down to verse 8. He said, even though Israel has sinned, nevertheless, Whew. Psalms 106 and 8. And I read verse 6. It said, we have sinned with our fathers and have committed iniquity, and we've done wickedly. Our fathers understood not the wonders of Egypt. Now you know that? With what they were going through was wonders of Egypt. Because the bad stuff they were going through out of Egypt brought them wonderful things. Brought them a wonderful deliverance. Showed to them that God can use whatever he wants to use, a stick, he can use that, or just a waving of the hand and use it for his glory. And he said, our fathers understood not the wonders of Egypt. They remembered the multitude of, they haven't remembered the multitude of the mercy, but provoked me at the Red Sea. You know how you know how you can provoke God in the midst of your deliverance? Is when God got you to the point of your deliverance and you're provoking God, worrying about why did I do it? Why is this happening to me? Because it's like you telling God, I don't deserve this. We don't get a half of what we deserve. Huh? And that provokes God. When he said, it's my mercy and my grace. You need to be leaning on my mercy and my grace. Don't be leaning on what you feel's happened to you that's unjust to you. Huh? My son didn't say that when he died for you. My son didn't say, God, why you had to go through this with these knuckleheads, these negroids and kickers? Huh? He just delivered us by the name of his son. It said, but provoked him at the Red Sea, even at the Red Sea, in verse 8, which is the key word, nevertheless, he saved them for his name's sake. I've got to believe I'm the namesake of God. Huh? Even though I've sinned, even though I've done wrong. Hmm? But I've never lost my faith in God. Hmm? And my faith came to me through the sake of the name of his son. Huh? And so because of that, I am his namesake. Huh? Fallen, but not offended. Bent, but not broken. Oh, God. Ooh, little bit tattered, but not torn. Hallelujah. Glory to God. Thank you, Jesus. Goes back to our opening scripture tonight. I'm going to quote that first verse of 91, and then I am closing. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High. So we learned tonight that secret place is where? In our faith. Shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Faith in God gives us the protection that we need, that we don't deserve, but he gives it to us. We're getting ready to put on the consecration seed. I said, Lord, what do you want me to speak on tonight? He said, go over Psalm 91. Thank you, God.